one little white lie that we're told that probably causes more stress, more anxiety, more pain, more inability to choose the right relationship, choose the right job. As a matter of fact, it is the cause, this one little white lie that our parents tell us and the media tells us and everyone in the world will tell you that this is the truth, and you will actually believe this. When I tell you what it is, you're gonna be like, "How can that be true? That can't be true." Um, and then I'm gonna also tell you that little white lie. Um, so the converse of that little white lie, the truth, you're also going to say there's no way that can't be the truth because you believe in the white lie, and so the little white lie that we all are taught when we're younger, okay, is also the source of when you hit, and I don't know whether those of you that are on here have ever felt this, the midlife crisis, the midlife calling, where you kind of wake up, as I did at about 39 years old, 40 years old, and realize that I had bought the lie as a child that I could, and this is it, the little white lie, honey, you can be anything you want to be. Now, the problem is that when you tell a child that, the child is already being everything they want to be. And when a parent says, "Here, look at this, look at these pictures, look at this show, look at this movie, look at these superheroes, look at this person, look at how good this person is, look at how nice this person is," and then occasionally you're not so nice, and they're like, "Well, you could be nicer like your sister," and all of a sudden you're comparing yourself with everyone else because you were told that you could be anything you want to be, and then since you already knew who you wanted to be, which was you, and this is it, and they told you that that meant, and that feeds a inner feed in there that maybe who I am isn't enough. Maybe this isn't who I'm supposed to be. And so that little white lie, which is worse than Santa and the Easter Bunny, right, and the Tooth Fairy, right? Those are just our parents telling us that they're going to be lying to us for the rest of our lives. But those are just kind of for fun and kind of like prep you for the big lie. But the big lie is that you can be anything you want to be. And the truth is that you can't. You can't. You can, and so one is you're going to be like, how can that be? I can set my mind to do whatever I want to do, but ask yourself how it worked for you. Because I woke up at 30 or 40 years old, or like 39 years old, 40 years old, and I had become everything I wanted to, everything my child was thought this is what I want to be. A successful entrepreneur. I had been a professional athlete by then. I was a black belt in the martial arts. I was studying spiritual ideas and meditating and had been doing transcendental meditation since I was a teenager, and I've been doing all of these things. I was a successful businessman. I was a family man. I was a top level teacher. I was a public speaker. All of those things that my child that wanted to be what the world wanted me to be. And I got to 40 years old and realized that all of those ladders of success, that was this huge ladder of success that this belief that I could be anything I wanted to be led to. And I got to the top of that ladder, and at the top of that ladder, I was on the top of that building. I got up there and I was at the top of this building, and there was a sign that says, "You just climbed the wrong building." Because when you get to the top of your ladder that you're supposed to climb, you should have this sense of depth, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of happiness, a sense of joy. And I got to 39, 40 years old, and I felt empty. I felt unfulfilled. And so the anxiety that we all feel, the pain we all feel, this life that 90% of the people in the world are living, not more than that, is based on what psychologists are now finding is a very detrimental pattern that we're being taught in a society that you can have anything, be anything, see anything, and you see it on your phone, and you can have it, and and you're supposed to be like everyone else and just better. What happens is that when you give people, so psychologists have been studying this, when you give people too many options, you tell them you can be anything. What happens over time is that everything that they try that isn't actually who they are, because now they're trying to be somebody that they're supposed to be, somebody even better than they are, and they can't become somebody better than they are because they're amazing. The one thing you are is absolutely amazing. Your soul gave this to you. But when you try to be somebody else and something else, what happens is that you fail every time by trying to be somebody that you aren't. And even though you're like, no, that's who I am, just wait a while. Wait till, 10 years later and you realize, God, I hate this job. I don't like this. This relationship isn't the right one for me. I climbed the wrong relationship ladder. I climbed the wrong job ladder. I climbed the wrong, health ladder. I figured I'd take care of my health later. And now you're overweight, you've got health issues, you've got things, and you didn't take care of that because your focus was on trying to be somebody that you're supposed to be rather than who you were born to be. So do you understand? So what the psychologists are finding is that when you tell somebody and give somebody too many options, they live in constant regret because every time they do something, they know they could have done it better because there's somebody else who's done that better. And the reason you went after it was because, well, they did it this well. And how many of you have friends that have done something really cool? Like they went to India and they studied with a guru, and all of a sudden they had this like enlightenment of this thing, and you're like, I'm going to do that. And you go over to India, and it's like you can't stand it. It's like, wow, and you had the worst experience of your life. So the reality is that you can't be anything you want, and every time you try to be something that you want to be, you will always end up with regret. And over time, what happens is that you fear making choices out of making the wrong one because if you have infinite choice. So now what would be what would be the energetic way to do this? And keep in mind that we're talking about you're born unique. There's not one person that has a hand like my hand. This is the Rhys Thomas hand right here. No one in the world has a hand like mine. Okay? No one has a body like mine. No one has a mind like mine. Nobody. Now, what I teach at the Rhys Thomas Institute is about the life purpose profiles. We teach that there's a very specific energetic envelope you're in, your body type. So rather than Myers-Briggs and Enneagram and DISC and these other ones that just as long as you behave that way, you're that, which is, of course, your behavior is what the problem was to begin with. You tried to behave like somebody else, and then you became that person, and then it failed you. You didn't fail. You were wonderfully you your whole life, but you failed at being somebody that you weren't. And if you study to be who you are based on who you think you are, you're going to reinforce who you think you are rather than who you actually are. And who you actually are is this essence, this feeling inside of you. And I'm going to play crystal ball here in just a second where you can feel that. But I want you to just think about that you can't be anything that you want to be. You can only be one thing, and that one thing is a soul quality within you. And I'm actually going to be doing on November 8th, I'm going to be doing a 4-hour training that's absolutely free. All you have to do is click on this and you can sign up for that. And I'm going to be taking you through how to master being you. The one you, the only you, the one thing you want to master in your life is not to be, not to take a program just like we go to school, right? We go to school and everybody has to learn the same thing because this is what's important. Because who thought of that? Who knows who thought of that idiotic thing? Everybody has to learn math. Everybody has to learn algebra. Everybody has to learn, whatever it is. Of course, there's a certain amount of English or math or something you need, but how much do you really need? And then what happens is that in that class, whatever the class is, everybody needs to learn French this way. What happens is that you then get graded on whether you're a success or not. And so you get an A, now you're a successful math person or English person. And if you get a B, you're okay. If you get a C, you're not even trying. And if you're getting a D or an F, you might as well not even bother, right? And so you're learning that anything you want to be isn't actually true, but you don't get to not make it true. You have to then believe, oh, well, maybe something else I can be. And I have to constantly try to be those things. And this is where we get caught and we get caught and we get caught in this pattern and we go around and round and round until you hit that midlife crisis. And like I said, that one little lie, you can be anything you want, causes the midlife crisis because you became anything you wanted rather than who you really were. So if you want to find out who you really are, I'm doing a free 4-hour training in what I call the 6 steps to mastering abundance and your life. And the one thing you need to master is the one thing you are. You need to master and understand why you have the body and mind you have, why you were put in this family, why, okay? Why you have the emotions you have. So what you do and how you do it means almost nothing compared to why. The why is the one reason. It's like, oh, the why I do this, the why I have this body, the why I have these emotions, the why I choose to have these values in my life, the why I choose to go into relationships like that love me, that support me, that do all this. Why I do that, and then why, after understanding how I'm in relationships, why I would want to be in a job like I have doing what I love to do in this job, and because that's the kind of people I want to be with. And then why would I choose a spiritual practice? Why each one of us has our own, literally, if every person in the world is unique and no one else is like you, that means every one of us has like a religion or a spiritual practice that's unique to you. And what would that spiritual practice be? What happens right now is we have these spiritual practices where you're pretending you're somebody you're supposed to be all day long, and you can't stand yourself at the end of the day. So your spiritual practice is escaping that and going to the 5D or meditating or trying to do yoga or do things so you can release all this anxiety and stress and this sort of feeling like, I don't even know, why am I doing what I'm doing? But what if your spiritual practice were the reality was that my spiritual practice is my body and my mind, is my emotions, are my values and what I choose, are my relationships, are my business. What if that were your spiritual practice? Well, I'm going to teach you how to align, how to take the 4 steps to creating greater abundance, to master the abundance in your life, and to really understand that at some point in your life, you've got to completely realize that lie, that you can be anything you want, has done more damage probably than any other thing that you've ever thought. Because every time you've tried something and failed, you've felt guilty about it rather than feeling like, oh my God, thank God I found one more thing I don't have to try. Don't have to do that anymore because that's not what I was born to do. What you're born to do is just effortless for you. You're amazing at it and you deliver that. And when you deliver that, you change the world.